Hey, what is up, and welcome to a little bit of a different video than what I'd normally do. This is a little bit of a talky one, and I'm talking about the new tier system. So whether or not you're actually checking this out the minute the video drops, or it's a couple of years down the road and you, well, just want a little bit of an explanation of the tiers that are on this channel, which I use to review Gundam model kits. Basically, what I'm bringing in now is a new, more balanced system to give you the best idea of what a Gundam model kit is like at a simple glance. That's basically the whole point. How do you, well, all gunpla is great in its own way, but how do you tell what is good from what is great, from what is fantastic, from what is revolutionary and the best of the best? That's the whole point of the tiers. And just to make them as simple as possible, I needed to make them a little bit more complex under the hood. So this is a brand new, fully balanced tier system. The older system was basically just three sort of tiers, and then I built onto it as Gundam kits got better and better, and now as it stands, it just doesn't really work. I'll talk a little bit about why I did change it later on. Everything was basically either Platinum or Gundarium tier, and I want to use the full scale. So without any further ado, I'm just going to actually talk about this scale as it will be from now. So introducing the X tiers. The X just stands for Extreme. It's used with Gundam games all the time, various Gundams, so I just thought it was an interesting name to actually give them. So it's just Extreme tiers: X Bronze, X Silver, X Gold, X Platinum, and X Gundarium. Now I will be dropping the X after a couple of months. It's just really here for a little while in order to kind of separate it verbally and like visually away from the older ones, but eventually it'll just settle back into being called, you know, Bronze through Gold. This system is just a simple 5x5 system. There's 5 tiers, 5 aspects I'm going to rate the kits on, and 5 points per aspect. I also made some nice little meters too, so you can actually get a visual representation of what each element is getting as it's getting it, and at the end it'll be kind of shown on the screen, so you can kind of get a little idea of where the kits shine compared to other ones. Because one silver tier or a Gundarium tier, well, Gundarium's going to be perfect, so one silver tier or a bronze tier kit won't necessarily be as good as another for certain aspects, and it will be there for you to see. Now I actually have some notes here so I don't get a little bit lost. Basically, the ranking system, it's a 5x5x5 system. Like I said, kits get a score on 1 to 5 on each of the 5 aspects, and then in the end that gets added up and it's a score out of 25, and it gets basically what it's going to get. It's going to be a 1-star kit if it's bronze, 2-star kit if it's silver, gold, platinum, 5-star then is Gundarium, as good as a kit can get. So yeah, there's going to be 5 aspects I ranked them on. Up until now it was more like 3 aspects. I don't think I've ever really thought about spoke about the thought processes behind how I rank things and why I rank things. So I'm kind of going to get into that a little bit too. But as for the new system, it's 5 aspects. Before it was 3, which was just the 3 A's. I call them: aesthetics, accessories, and articulation. I've added 2 more in just to kind of make it a little bit more complete, because that doesn't hit all the marks. Basically, I'm going to be ranking all these kits on 5 things. The first of which is aesthetics. That's the overall looks in general. Their looks then based upon the actual source material. Do they look like the Gundams they're meant to? Do they go any further than that? Because some kits do actually add more detail onto kits than the actual mecha would have had in a show or source material, which, you know, to some people it's a bit difficult whether it goes for or against a look, but I'm just going to go with it goes for. More detailed is more cool when it comes to robots. The second aspect then is the articulation, aka the movement of the various parts of the limbs and the overall ability to pose both statically in, you know, standing poses and dynamically in over-the-top kind of flying or shooting or slashing poses. Basically, how well does your kit pose? The next one then is going to be accessories. That was always the case as well. That's the weapons and equipment that come with your kit. How good are they? Do they look nice? Are they detailed? The amount of actual accessories inside the box compared to what you expect a mobile suit to come with. Is it missing anything? All those sorts of things will come into play. Now, 2 new ones I'm kind of thrown in, which are always kind of in the back of my mind but never truly ranked, is, well, first up, build. How fun is the actual build of a kit? Because I build these kits all of the time. I love that. It's what I love to do. I love spending my time doing it. So when a kit is a bit of a pain in the arse to build, which is unusual with gunpla, usually older kits, you know, that can kind of be held against it. If there's anything awkward, hard to do, or, you know, just generally niggly, or even worse, delicate inside of it. Also, just how much fun the actual build is. Is there anything unique to the build compared to what we would have seen before? And also inside of this particular category, I'm going to be ranking how well the kit holds together, like the overall strength of the build on top of the actual build itself. when you build it, does it hold together? The last aspect then is going to be the extras. Now this isn't necessarily extras per se, it's pretty much everything that's left over, well, from the other aspects as well as actual extras. Basically, sometimes some things we don't normally see. Some kits have metal etched parts, some kits have LED units, there's 3D stickers, cool and unusual things inside of some boxes. They will be kind of brought into this. Other things like gimmicks, opening cockpits, pistons, fun slidey bits, all that good stuff that, well, Bandai or other model kit companies did not have to do, but they just got it in there anyway. Nice engineering, that sort of stuff. That's what's going to be in extras. Again, this one is a little bit of a unusual one, so it can't really be held too much for or against, especially on cheaper kits like high grades. It's kind of needless to say as well, but all of this is based on the out-of-box build. Like, what you can do with a kit beyond what it is out of the box, that's kind of redundant when it comes to actually reviewing a kit. So I'm going to be talking about how it is once it's out of the box with all of those 5 aspects. I'll give it a score out of 5 for each one with my nice little slidey bar that I spent not that long making actually. You might recognize it's somewhat based on the health bars from Extreme VS Maxion Boost. Good game. But yeah, so each one of these is going to be scored out of 5. That little tier meter that I have, that's both kind of fun and, you know, everyone likes to see an infographic or whatever you call it. The visual aspect really does help. And I'm going to have them all 5 of them lined up at the end so you can kind of see its stats. These are then added up and the kit gets its tier. I've made some brand new tier logos. The actual art for them was done by my wife, which is fantastic. I actually just learned to basically animate them as well, just so they're a little more unique than they were before. I actually started on, I'm not sure if it was the silver tier one or something like that. So as if it, well, the way it stands right now, that one moves around really basically, but then there's Gundarium tier, which I did last, which I'd learned basically how to use After Effects a lot better, and that one moves around a lot more. And the worst thing about it is, that's the one that's probably gonna end up being used the least. Yeah. So that's basically the gist. Now I know there's a lot of questions you guys ask me all the time, basically about why I tier, why I'm changing the tiers, all of that sort of stuff. So I took some of them down, and I'm just gonna answer them really quickly just in case you wanted to know why I do this, that, or the other. Why tier kits at all? Why not just do a review without the tiers? Well, there's multiple reasons to that. I know a lot of guys, or a lot of you guys actually like this because it helps you pick, you know, categorized which are good, which are bad, and that's basically the gist of it. There's 2 kind of core principles, I would almost say, that I had since I started making model kit. Actually, it was a blog I started with, but model kit videos. There was 2 core things to it. Number 1 was I wanted money for more model kits. That was the main one. That was the core principle, and who does not want more money for model kits? The second one then was I quit Gunpla like 3 times. And the reason for that is kind of just the general confusion behind certain aspects of Gunpla. And I might bring this point up multiple times while answering these questions. So yeah, I built a great kit, which was the Master Grade Wing Zero, the really, really old one from like 2002 or something like that. I built that and I loved it. It was one of the coolest things I ever built, and I needed more. So I went online back then, there wasn't a lot of information, and I bought 2 more kits, which were like, I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Death Side or what, but there was definitely a Sandrock, and they were absolute crap. I didn't understand. I thought maybe just this hobby isn't for me. I gave up. Those 2 ended up in the bin. I could just never actually part with the Master Grade. It was just so perfect, and it's kind of what held me to restarting the hobby again. And yeah, if you know about Gunpla, 1 was a Master Grade, the other 2 were 1/100 scale high grades, which aren't as good. And that was kind of the difference. So I couldn't tell which was good, which wasn't. So in a way, I'm kind of trying to make the videos the way I would have liked to see them when I was getting into Gunpla, or when I was in like my mid time of Gunpla, where I needed all the information I wanted as fast as possible. That's basically it. The best Gundam model kits are great. The not so greatest ones could put you off. And it's always good to know which are which. But yeah, why tier the kits? And the answer is to separate them at a single glance. That is it. Also, it really helps me at the end of the year when it comes to making the best kits of the year, because all I know is I just take all the Gundarium tier ones and just put them in order. So yeah, rankings are good. Why even change the tiers at all? The old ones were fine. They were and they weren't. Basically, it would go back in time. I made 3 tiers because I like things simple, and that was just for the sake of Silver tier was the middle ground. That's what you expect from a gunpla, because there was a while with Bandai in the 2010s where gunpla was always kind of a certain caliber. Some dropped below, some dropped above, and that was kind of the way it is. So what you expected from a high grade, I'm just using high grade for example, you could use master grade or whatever, what you expect from a high grade was silver tier. If it dropped below that, it was bronze. If it was better than that, it was gold. It was simple. It was just bad, good, great. But then along came a kit which was the real grade Sazabi, which blew everything apart. Unexpected, was beyond anything, and that begot the beginning of Gundarium tier, kits that were like no kits that we have ever seen before. It couldn't go into the other categories, it just didn't fit. And then along came some more kits. Real grade did it over and over again. The 4 simples came out, and that was fantastic, but it wasn't as good or groundbreaking as the Sazabi. It was just as good, I guess, if you think of, yes, it's a smaller kit, not as much can be pushed into it, but it is just as good, but it's not breaking ground anymore, so I needed something in the middle for perfect kits that aren't breaking ground. That was where Platinum tier came in, and now everything is kind of in Platinum and Gundarium, and not for the reasons from before, just because I can't rank them lower because they don't rank with the kits that were ranked lower from before, so the whole thing is just a little bit of a mess and everything's up at the top. What's the point in having everything like 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10? I want to use the whole scale. That's what I'm going to do. I like to think of it as the way kind of Bandai did Master Grade 2.0, when they completely revolutionized the whole thing to make a new kind of floor groundwork for something. This is tiering 2.0. What are the X tiers? What are these new tiers? Well, essentially, I'm just going on a kind of +1 or +2 or a +1.5 compared to what we would have seen before. So I'm just scaling everything back a little bit. What would have been a kind of platinum tier kit will probably end up being a gold tier kit, that kind of thing. But there is more actually put into me writing down aspects while reviewing them to which bits are good, which bits aren't. Because before it wasn't necessarily like that, it was a little bit more of a feeling. I kind of pulled the ranking from betwixt my cheeks in a way, towards the end. And it wasn't always, well, I felt it was accurate. But this is a little bit more controlled. The new tier system is a 5-star system. Wasn't it a 5-star system before? No, it wasn't. And I could understand why someone would be confused by that. There was stars on them, but that was a mistake. Again, my wife actually makes the little dudes, and I had put stars on the 1, 2, and 3 just for the sake of it, and then they were added onto the 4 and the 5. But I never ever felt Gundarium tier meant 5-star. It meant something else beyond. It was not really, it was more of a award given to a kit as opposed to its tier. It's kind of stupid. There's some dumb aspects. That's why it needs replacing. My favorite mobile suit just got brown tier. Now I'm crying into my live action shower body pillow and about to type a very angry comment. I just made up that as a scenario that, yeah, you get what I mean. Sometimes when you like a mobile suit or something like that and it gets a bad ranking, some people do get a little bit angry. Bronze tier is not a bad ranking, and I will be doling it out from here on out quite a bit because I do want to use the whole thing. Now, the way I look at it is, when it comes to Bandai's model kits, when it comes to Gunpla, if it was on a ranking 1 to 10 of, you know, mecha kits in general, they always fall in the 9 to 10 range. So bronze tier is like, you know, not great relatively when it comes to Gunpla, not necessarily model kits. So if you zoomed in on the ranking of kits and it was 1 to 10, Gunpla for me would always be ranked from 9 to 10. So in a way, bronze tier is more like a 9 out of 10, whereas platinum's like a 9 point, or not platinum, what's up? After bronze is silver. Silver would be more like a 9.2.5, and gold would be like up at the 9.5 zone, you know, like that sort of thing. It's a relative scale for Gunpla, so I want to use the whole thing. Bronze doesn't mean bad, it just means it's not as good as other kits out there. Will older Gundam model kits get ranked on a different scale to new ones? This one I've thought about a lot. You know, if I throw a old kit into the new tiering system, chances are it'll come out in the bronze or silver zone. And I've thought about this. Should I do it in a different thing? And I just came to the answer of no. And the reason for that is Bandai still produces them and still releases them. A lot of times if you run into a shop, you see a whole bunch of boxes, you can't even tell them apart. Now, if you can tell instantly what kits are old, what kits are new, whether they're good or not, and actually have the opinion that those older kits should not be ranked on the new system, then technically you don't even need the rankings at all. You can usually make your own judgments on whether or not the kit's good, based on your own paradigm of what you believe is good in a kit. Therefore, I make sure there's a lot of information and visual knowledge in the video so you can actually see what aspects you like about a kit in order to decide whether you like it or not. The tiering thing doesn't really mean much at all to you. The tiers in general are just a quick reference, and if, you know, an older kit isn't that great, it will not be that high up the list. It's just that sort of thing. It does seem a little bit on the unfair side, but they are still reproduced, re-released, and if someone's just getting into the hobby or is a little unfamiliar with the kits in general, jumps in, sees about 5 kits on the shelf and needs to see a list of how good they are at a glance, I want to make sure it is a good, relative, balanced list that will tell them, well, this one's brand new, top of the line, Gundarium, fantastic. There are some old kits that would still be Gundarium to this day, but there are some which would, you know, disappoint a new fan that has just built some of the best brand new kits. That's the whole point. So I'm going to rank them all on the same tiering system. Sure enough, those older kits did walk so that new kits can run, but again, it's just to have a clear list at a glance, and by modern standards, most of those won't hit the top marks. What the hell does Gundarium tier even mean anymore? And I wasn't even asked this question. This is a question I ask myself on the daily. So Gundarium tier as it stood is dead. It used to mean kits that were like nothing else before. Basically, I'd throw it at something like the Neo Zeong. It's huge, it's massive, it's mind-blowing, it's massive, It is also massive, and it's massive. That's the only thing it's got going for it. So that's why it got a ranking that was kind of out there. So I'm going to need a new out there ranking now that Gundarium tier is 5-star. Could you give the Neo Zeong 5 stars? I don't know. It's a big statue. It wouldn't really be doing much in the lines of articulation, really. So I am debating coming up with a brand new kind of tier-esque thing. I'm thinking I'm messing up in my mind like with something like a new type tier or a new type award that'll be given to kits that absolutely break the mold. It'll be, you know, given to them with their actual tier. So something can be bronze tier and get this new mold-breaking award, or be Gundarium tier and get this new mold-breaking award. Now, I'm just taking a look at what Bandai is actually got lined up, well, in the last few years and in future, and I'm not sure if it'll be needed or not. So I haven't made it yet. And when and if I need it, I'll make it. If the future equivalent of the bomb that was the Real Grade Sazabi comes out, then I'll think about it. But for now, we're just keeping it simple with a good 5-point system and rankings. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I think I might have touched on anything. So yeah, just to kind of go over it one more time. New system is just 5 aspects, all getting ranked on 5 points each, which will add up to what their ranking is going to be. And all the information is going to be on the screen, so you'll be able to see it a little bit more in depth than it would have been before. If you have any questions, drop them down there in the comments. If you have any suggestions, there's something you feel like there's a bit of a hole here, there, or anywhere, let me know. And I will be rolling this out soonish, maybe this week or in the next couple of weeks. I think I have one review that will either come before or after this, the Leo Or, which I haven't put up just yet. That will not have the new ranking in it, so it might be a couple of weeks. I'm very, very slow to do things. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions again, comments down there. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. As always, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking every single one of you guys for watching, and special thanks to those who support me on both the channel memberships as well as on Patreon, including Simon, Scotty Thomas, Abraxas, RG59061, Joe, Vanfon, and Caleb Engelhardt.